Hi guys, right, this is a little video that's going to add on to the one making the rate parting tool for the Myford or any other lathe. What I'm doing is I'll throw you on bench in a minute and we'll have a look. But basically I'm going to make some more holders for different types of blade that I've got. I've got quite a few different blades, but I've picked two out that I think might be appropriate, and I'm going to make two separate holders for them, so they'll just simply bolt onto that tool holder block. So I'm going to take that one off and make a copy of the slotted part of it, like the 4 bolt fixings, and I'll put them onto these two parts, and then we'll show you. Let's have a look. Okay, so first of all, the two blades that I've picked. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this profile. Let's have a look whether you can or not. But it's probably not. It's tapered at both sides. Is that? So it's Eclipse H5 England. So that's going to be one of them, which size wise it's 684, what's that, roughly 17, nearly 17.5 millimetre deep. So that's quite a tough one. And then I did show these originally. Let's see if we can try again, but I couldn't get these to read on here. The BSA. Got it. BSA tools. It's a ZG 3.8-3726-5 P45, no P4S at the bottom. BSA tools limited. Right, I've got probably half a dozen or so of these, and it's on a real dinky, just under 13 mil deep and thick, 1.58 thick, really thin little things, but I'm assuming they're good quality, and so I'm going to make a holder for them. So the piece of steel that was over from the block I cut down, I've chopped up some more, lobbed a piece off, not that one, lobbed that piece off, and the top off it. So that's going to be for one, let's say that one, maybe. And then this is the block I originally bought for doing the job and never used. But as you can see, it's quite a thick thing, quite a size. So I'm going to have to mill all that top down to get it down to roughly the size of that one, so they're all the same. So there's quite a lot of milling work to do on that. I've cut these in the bandsaw, and I've cut them oversized, obviously, and I can then mill them down to size. So there's two to do. Let's say one for that blade and one for that blade. That's as far as we've got. What another thing in it, probably a little bit of a tip here. Well, if you've got a scrap bin, I wouldn't use it too much, because I've just cut that lot off, these pieces of steel. I've chopped all them off these blocks. Now you never know when you're going to need a piece of steel like that. They're going in the drawer, in the mild steel drawer of them. Another little tip that I'm sure a lot of you do, but before you throw them in the drawer, get a file and deburr them, which I've done with these, because you stick your hand in that drawer and pull some out and it's got a great big raggy edge on it, you're likely to cut your fingers. So I always give them a file before I put them away. That's as far as I've got. We've been on it about an hour, which most of the time been waiting for the metal to cut on the bandsaw. So I'll come back in little stages as we're doing these. And say that one will be fairly easy because it's flat, but that one being tapered, I'm going to have to somehow cut a taper in here. because it don't want to be square on, it wants to be tapered. I don't know how I'm going to do that, because I ain't got any angle plates. You know, they do one, don't they? And they're like an adjustable angle plate, and you can just adjust it, and so the plate wouldn't be flat, it'd be just canted up a bit. I'm going to have to maybe do it with degree plate, try and find out how many degrees that is, and make that the same. We'll bat on with that, and we'll come back when we've done some more. So as you can see now, they're both the same size that way, but this thing needs a lot off. By how much? 9.86, so that's supposed to be 10mm plate, I guess, and that's 16. 6mm to come off that. Yeah, 6mm. I wanted to do a bit off each side. I just go from one side. I'll probably just go from one side. Okay, so at last we've now got two pieces of stock that are the same size. That's the one that I've cut down tonight. This is the one that was already that size. I've deburred them, but they want a good clean up. So next it's on to, no, it's not onto the cutting blades. The first job is to drill them and counterbore them and slot them. But before I start cutting any slots in there, I want to make them fit the block. So that's my next bit of project, is to make them fit that block, that rear parting tool holder, to accept them. And when I get them bang on, which would be identical to the one that's already on, I can then begin to say, yeah, that's for that one, and this is for this one. This is the one I was on about, which needs to be slightly tapered. Okay, it's for another day though. So what I've done with block, the main block, is I've taken it out, I've chucked it into here, I've put it in the vise, and it's up to the stop So when I put my pieces in, they'll go up to a stop. And these are the 4 holes that I've got to drill in there and slot as well, and counterbore. So what I've done is I've on the DRO, I've gone to this hole and used this as my datum, right, my starting point, and I've zeroed everything, so it's X0 and Y0, and that's where, so that's where we start. And then I've wrote on here as I've done them. So X stays at 0, but we move Y, and we move the Y to 0. Sorry, X to 0, and Y to 18.670. So I'm going to bring that up on my DRO. 670. So that's from that one, 0 comes back 18.670 millimeters, and that's my second hole. And then I move across to my third hole. X is minus 44.965. So I'll wind that into that amount. 44.965. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 965, and again, move my arm around here, that's the third hole, and then the back hole, the fourth one, is X equals 44.965, which is what we're already on, and Y back to 0. That's near enough, 0.005. Okay, so they're my 4 reference marks, and all I've got to do is use the DRO, and I can drill these, pilot and drill these holes. I'll save that. The beauty of this DRO, I'm not sure about all the DROs, but this is an MDRO bought in the UK. When you switch the power off, and when you turn it back on, it remembers where it was. I don't know if they all do, but this one does. So I can turn this off, and if I don't come back to it for 2 days, it'll still be there when I come back to those measurements. So my next thing is to get that block out, get a proper drill in here. I don't know whether to use the chuck, which I not normally put in. I normally, you can't see it, I'm pointing at it. It's just a hand chuck. It's just cheap Chinese one, is that? It's the only one I've got, I think. Yeah. It's the only one I've got with an M10 thread in the back of the MT2 taper. The other ones are Morse taper with the nose on it, so I could ram it in here, but I don't want to. So I either use that or I use collets. I normally use collets when I'm drilling, but I can't see any reason not to use a chuck. It's what they're for, isn't it? So that's what we'll do. Okay, just thought I'd show that bit, and then we'll come back when I've started drilling these and slotting them one thing and another. 3.4 we were aiming at. It's the depth of this counterbore slot. 4mm back. Bit noisy, squeaky. So what we've done is we've created, that's a 10mm, that's 10mm 4-flute carbide cutter. We've plunged down, look at all this metal, we've plunged down to 3.4mm, which is half the depth of the screw heads to match the other block. And then I've come across 4mm and plunged down again, because that's the slot width. The allowance is 4mm, if you remember, 2mm each side of the cutter blade. And I've plunged down again, and then I've finished the slot by going back 4mm at 3.4mm deep, which is taking my slot out. So I've done 1, 2, 3 so far, and I'm just about to start the last one, and then I've got to start again, obviously, on this block. I didn't know whether to do the 6mm holes and slot them and then swap the block and do the other one, or to complete the piece while it were in the vise. I decided to complete the piece while it's in the vise. I'll take that out and do the other one as a separate entity. So this is the last one of the 4 in that one. I'll reposition the camera somewhere else so we can see. Just hope my arm ain't going to be in the way. So again, I'm plunging down 3.4mm. This is using the 4th DRO that's on the quill that I fitted. Okay, so now I need to drive across 4mm. And plunge down again. And then 4mm back while plunged. Complete the slot. should be it complete. I'll take it out and have a look. I'll just brush all this crap off it. It's still manky, but basically that's it. So that's drilled M6 for the M6 caphead bolts. Then it's counterbore 3.4mm. Let's bob a bolt in, you'll see. So that's a bolt in. It's tight. I'm going to clean all this up. But that's it. As you can see, the bolt head is stuck up a little bit, and I've mentioned this before. The reason being, I didn't want to drill counterbore the full depth of the bolt so it looked nicer because it were flush, because it wouldn't have left a lot of metal on here. I preferred it even with the bolt head stuck slightly proud, that I'd have more strength in the piece. Okay, so what I've got to do next is this one, just the same basically. So what I'll do is I'll clean this up, I'll put this in, I'll do it, there's no point in showing any more than that, and then I'll come back when these are ready for marking up for the cutter blades. Okay, I've just to show you in that operation what I used. Now you can see at the back they're slotted. Now to have used a drill bit, I drill one hole, then the next hole to the side of it for the slot to be slotted is only 4mm further on. So if you actually used a drill bit, you'd have problems with the drill snagging and trying to drag over. So I actually used this. Now that's a 6mm slot cutter, although it does bore as well. Now I don't know if you can see, but sometimes it comes clear. Yeah, maybe there. One of those, it's a three flute, and two of the flutes don't go to the centre, therefore you wouldn't be able to drill a hole. But one of the flutes does go to the centre, therefore I can drill a hole with it. These are carbide. And then so I drill a hole, then I pull out, move across 4mm and drill another hole, which obviously is halfway through or partly way through the first hole. A normal drill bit would pull over, that'd drag over and you'd bugger everything up. So basically that's what I used for drilling the hole. And then this one is the 10mm, and obviously these are the collets to go with them. It's only an ER25, but I've got all the collets. And this one hasn't got a tooth that goes to middle, it's a 4 flute. But that don't matter because the hole is already drilled and I'm only plunging down to counterbore, and the centre part's already drilled out to M6 anyway. So sorry, M6, 6mm. Okay, again that's a lovely carbide M10, fairly, well, nearly brand new. It's only been used a little. Just thought I'd stick that little bit in for people that have just bought a milling machine. Give you an idea not to go trying to drill two holes too close together, because you know what happens. Right, how are they going to fit? Before I start raving on about DROs. Here goes. That's the 4mm, 2mm each side of centre. Lovely, well pleased. Well, I used the DRO settings for them both and the same settings, so I can't see that this other one won't fit. It's bound to fit. My hand ain't way, aren't I? Bang on. That's below, that's above. Well chuffed. So next job is to cut the slots, clean them up, get all this blue off, and then re-blue the back of them, where I'm going to mark it up for the blades. Yeah, I'll clean these up. That one pretty clean. Mark them up. So what I did, I fitted that block as you've seen earlier on, and I stuck the DRO, a 6mm, 5mm drill bit in, and I went through all these and I marked them up on the DRO and zeroed using that back corner as 0, and then took my marks from that. Then when I come to do these, it was simple, that all I had to do was copy that straight onto that, and it worked out great. Yeah, so DRO, I used no, not the 4 axes. I used X and Y. I didn't use Z because I used the quill for drilling, but I put that 4th DRO on there, and I've used that to plunge 3.4mm down for these bolts. And yeah, without that DRO, with the play that's in that machine in the nuts, and there's a fair bit of play in the brass nuts, it'd have probably taken me a lot longer to do this, and a lot of measuring and marking and zeroing and one thing and another. You can't whack the DRO, they're great, especially for somebody like me that's a simpleton. Oh, I'm actually being called a chimpanzee. Right, so next job is this slot that's in this one, as you saw me make before. Do the same in that one, for them blades. Yeah. So that's for that one, and that's for that one. So I'll come back when I've got all these marked up and ready, deburred and cleaned up, and we'll start to cut the slots in, and I've got to just work out that angle on there. I'm not too sure actually whether it's on here angled at one side, this blade, and that one side's square and there's only one side tapered, in which case I've got to put that the right way around and cut the taper into that, not into that. Otherwise that's going to bugger up. That wants to stay flat, ideally. Yeah. Okay, so far so good. Right, so that's the first holder that of the extra ones I'm making, and I've put some markers down here. So it wants to be 1.2mm deep. The cutter blade is 1.5mm deep. So we're going to leave some protruding so it's got the clamping action. The width of the cut wants to be 12.7mm. It's just a tad over. It's actually 1/2 inch imperial. So it's just a tad over that, but I'm going to cut it to that and then trial fit and keep trying it. Metric. Show what DRL we're in, it's in metric. .7 wide, that's a 10mm cutter, 2.7mm across. Do I drop first? Yeah, I'll drop first, back to 0 on my Z. Okay, and we need to undo that. 2.7mm across. 1, 2, let's get to the wheel. I'm going to go to Imperial and take it in so slightly. See how that is. Ooh. Well, that's in. But if I've got that in machine and I want to move blade in and out, I don't know, that's cleaned up. Ah, it's got it. That's got it. So it's just, I don't know if you can see that, but I've just got the blade. Let's see if I can zoom in without losing focus. Just got an edge there. So when that's onto the main block, it'll be tight on. That's great. Happy with that. That was the easy one. The next one, of course, is that tape. In fact, I'm just going to show you something, guys. And I might just have to use my phone as well. I've always been aware that when I'm in workshop, and it's only a small workshop, but I move away to pick something up, because my voice goes quiet. And then when I'm talking to camera direct on, the camera's at one end at garage, workshop, shed, I'm at the other side, and obviously I have to speak up. So I've been looking at these Rode mics, you know, the wireless ones, and I looked at the Rode mic, or whatever it was, and I saw one and it had 2 mics, and I thought that might be handy if me and my son never go on a road trip or out. Could both have one on. 450 quid, £450 for 2 microphones and a receiver. So I started looking at comparisons on YouTube. I know this guy doing one, and there's loads of them doing ones, and they're called Synco. We'll zoom round. Let's zoom right out, which we are. We'll spin round to the bench. And actually show you, well, I can show you what I've got on now, but this is what I bought. It's Synco, a G1 A2. A2 means there's 2 microphones, 1 receiver. So I've taken the Fluffy Cat microphone, the little dinky one I had, plugged into the Sony camera, and I've plugged in this amplifier. I'll actually, it's a bit of an experiment this, see if it works. I'll use my phone and I'll video you. So that's my Sony camera, and we're plugged in there with a lead, and I've just clipped it on down here, and that's the wireless receiver that's just clipped on that tripod really. You're supposed to put them onto your cold shoe or your hot shoe for your flash, but on this little miniature, it's an RX 100, a Mark 7, and that's the flash. And when you press it, it pops up, but it pops up like a little blade. It hasn't got a cold shoe. And I think this is the viewfinder one, this one. Yeah, smashing camera. So I'll knock this back off and I'll pair that in. Yeah, so there we go. Comes in a lovely box. It's got all the leads, even got a lead for an iPhone as well. Oh, sorry, for a mobile phone. That's the other transmitter. Got the stickers on the front. Second hand. You know I'm a cheapskate, and I always have been, and I try and buy anything as cheap as I can. £59 delivered. Absolute bargain, I thought. And that's what I'm using right now. I'll show you how I've got it rigged up, but I've only got it rigged up temporary like this, which is the transmitter's there, flying away, and I've just clipped it to my pocket. I mean, ideally that wants to be inside your clothing and clipped to maybe your belt or whatever. And that's the microphone there, what I'm talking to you on, there. So as I can go anywhere I want, I can move over here. Obviously my volume's never going to change, is it? I can go. Now the other one, that little fluffy cat one I had, were very directional. I don't know if I've left it in here. I don't think I have, but it were very directional. So if I wanted to talk to the front of the camera, I'd face it forward. But then if I walked around the back of the camera, you couldn't hear me very well. Very, very sensitive. But of course I can walk around back at camera now and across to the back in corner of my workshop. No matter where I am, you're going to hear me just the same. So I'm delighted with it, and I think it's a good addition for the little workshop. And again, I didn't buy it for me. I bought it for a workshop. But I thought, yeah, I think it's got something like 6 hours, and this thing here has got to see that thing there. And if you do that and you could move back, they showed you walking over 100 foot away and they still worked. They started getting a bit, over 100 foot, started getting a bit iffy. But if you moved that and moved it behind you, you lost signal, couldn't go through your body. But I never want to go 100 foot, 50 metres, whatever it is it says it'll do. I'm just in a, you know, what have we got here? 3 metres by 4 metres or something. 3.5 metres by 4 metres, I think it is, my workshop. So it's only a garden shed size, really. Yeah, just thought I'd show that. I'll throw that in to video. Or even. So the next one is this one. And this blade. And as I said before, this is tapered. But again, I'm not convinced. It looks like, you can see that, it looks like one side is nearly square to the top of the blade, yet the other side is tapered back, so that if you sat it on there, the blade's pointing downhill. And if you sat it on there, the blade's nearly square. And I'd say nearly, it's about bloody half a degree out, it ain't quite. I think if I sat it on that face there, onto the block, onto there, and then cut the angle into that, I think it'll work. I think it'd work. I mean, I have used this. I sharpened that up myself and I had it tilted down at an angle in a holder, which you might have seen a video of, and it wasn't square, it was just slightly down. And I did have some sort of success with it. And that one only clamped in just between two faces. I never even put an angle in it, I don't think. I don't think I did. So look, it was this one. Yeah, you know, all I did was I shaved that away out of a tool holder that I made and put that piece of mild steel on there, which weirdly has never ever gone rusty. And I thought it would have done, but it hasn't, but it is mild steel. Yeah, and I cut a block and put that in, and I had that down at an angle, which some say I shouldn't have done. I should have had it straight. but I didn't know at the time. I have got another blade. If you can see the profile of it, move that just. It's got that edge on both sides, and I think when I made this, I made it to take that so it fits in there. Yeah, I did. I cut a little rebate in the block there to accept that. I'm sure I did. It does, it goes in, I know it does. Anyway, I'm not using that. Okay, I'll come back when I've got all this set up and the angle that I'm going to hold it up at, and we'll do a bit more cutting. I think that's it. Yeah, had enough trap there. Enough trap. So the angle that I needed to cut on there, I just lifted this. I put some parallels under to start with, I took them back out after, and I just lifted it till it matched this blade against the moving jaw of that vise, and that's done it. So that'll trap on that way, and that blade will come in that way. All good. It won't focus. I'll zoom right out and then try moving up to the camera. I've been messing with focus on this. There's that many settings. That's great. So there we have it. A rare parting tool holder for a Myford or any other lathe, and 3 different holders. And that's the little BSA one. That's the big SPB 26-3 3mm. It's actually only 2 is the body. It's the cutter blade that's 3. And that worked great. That was the first one we did. And then there's this one using that Eclipse blade, of which I've cut an angle in there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, we'll give that a go. That blade's a bit long. I don't know whether it's going to encroach to my little swarthy board at the back. Probably not. If it does, we might have to cut that down with grinder. So I'll clean all these up, reassemble them, black them so they look like that one, and then it'll be finished. Well, really, unless I showed the blacking of these, which is pointless really, just doing the gun black, gun blue, whatever. It's completed, so yeah, we've got the original one that I made, which cuts great, and it is, as people have said before, much more stable using a rare on a small lathe, a rare parting tool. That's a little BSA blade, just sticks proud. Cut that one with that, as which you've just seen a picture of or a video of, and finally the larger one, which was the Eclipse blade. I have dressed that up a little bit because it were a bit burred over, because I got a couple of snarl ups when I'd used that on the front parting tool and it'd gone under. I think, yeah, it'd gone under. So we're all done. I fettled them up on sander. I think I need to probably black them, simply because if I don't, like that, won't go rusty, whereas the mild steel ones will, I know for a fact, unless I put some GT85 spray or something on. So that concludes the rare parting tool part. I don't know whether it's a 4A or whatever, just to add on to what we'd done already. I did say we're going to make 2 more holders or some more holders. I mean, I could make another one for that blade, but I don't think there's any point. The amount of parting off I do It's pointless anyway, because probably never get used, or very little. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you can. And if you're already subscribed, apparently you click that bell, and every time I put another YouTube video on, which I don't know when it'll be, you get notified. Having said that, I've no idea when I'll be doing another video or what I'm going to make another video of. I have to think of some little project to do in here. I've got tons of aluminium and round bar and square block and all sorts of stuff. I just need to dream up some sort of little project to do. Probably something for the milling machine or something for the lathe, I guess. Okay, thanks for watching guys.